website highperformanceu.com, it says that Tiger Woods, a professional golfer, had stuttering problems at childhood and admitted doing everything possible to overcome his speaking disorder. One of his methods was talking to his dog until he would fall asleep. People always want to get rid of public anxiety before they do any speaking at all, but they trick themselves into using methods that will only make the fear stronger. It is important to know which are the most helpful ways and tips into overcoming speech anxiety. As a student, I myself get speech anxiety before doing these speeches, but I have ways of making my nerves go away. By learning more about public speaking, you will have a better understanding of why people fear it so much, but also why you shouldn't fear it at all. First, I will talk about what speech anxiety is. Then I will go over the tips and methods on how to overcome this fear, and finally, I will discuss the outcome of it. So what is speech anxiety? Speech anxiety is a form of performance anxiety in which a person becomes very self-conscious of the way they are physically presenting themselves. Symptoms of speech anxiety can be sweaty palms, overall sweatiness, shaking, butterflies in the stomach, stuttering, dry mouth, rapid heartbeat, squeaky voice, and many more. Experiencing speech anxiety is normal. Even the most famous people, for example, Tiger Woods, as I mentioned before, have speech anxiety, so forget the idea that you're the only one. Speakers that look relaxed and confident have simply mastered their own ways and methods on overcoming the fear. Anxiety decreases as the speech progresses. Most people feel they are shaking uncontrollably, but most of the time the audience cannot tell because they are more interested in what the speech is about and less about how you look. In reality, the audience wants you to succeed. The reason why public speakers are anxious before their speech is because they think that the audience will be tough critics and that they want to see the speaker fail. That's not the case. In an article named Speech Anxiety on the University of Pittsburgh website, it states the following. Think about situations where you have been an audience member. Did you want the speaker to fail? Probably not. In fact, we are usually quite supportive of speakers and may even feel bad for them if they stumble over a word or lose their train of thought. So for example, your friend might be the one up here giving the speech, but what do? You root for them because the last thing you want them to do is to fail. Now that I have clarified what speech anxiety is, let's move on to the tips and methods you can use and should use in order to avoid a panic attack before speech. In order to avoid panic attacks before speech, you must first recall what is causing you to have nervous breakdown. So the first thing you should do is you must ask yourself what is scaring you. Make a list of the things that make you feel anxious or afraid. Then make a separate list of the ways you can cope with these fears so that when you are up there, you can practice those methods. Second, breathe deeply. Make sure you practice deep and slow breathing. Sometimes it's helpful to make calm sighs before the speech just to let the nerves out. The third thing is to practice your speech. Don't wing it when you're up here because then your speech will sound unorganized and all over the place. The fourth thing would be to visualize success. Picture yourself having a successful and great speech. Get the idea of the audience wanting you to fail out of your mind. Have a good night. Fifth thing is to have a good night's sleep and breakfast. It is highly important to take care of yourself and your body before a speaking event. Do not drink coffee. Most people think that drinking coffee will make them hyper and active, but in reality, it will only trigger your nervous system and make you get jitters. And the sixth tip would be to take the pressure off yourself. Hardly anyone ever makes a perfect speech, so don't make yourself an exception. Everyone has room for improvement, so it is important for you to accept your mistakes and to practice on them for your next speech. I will also provide you guys with rational solutions to the most common fears of public speaking. One of the fears is my PowerPoint will crash. There is a chance that your PowerPoint will crash, but that is why you should always back up your work. Send them to your email or save them on different flash drives. You can also have handouts in case all technical devices fail. Another fear is I'll run out of time or I'll end way too early. This is where practice plays a huge role, so you should time yourself before your speech and also practice your space, your face. I have the tendency to speak very fast when I'm up here, but I try my best not to. And the last fear I will point out is I'll forget a section of my speech. Have note cards with you or the whole outline. And refer to them so that you won't forget a part. So after defining speech anxiety and providing tips and methods on how to avoid it, I will now show you the outcomes of it. Once you have conquered your fear of public speaking, you will be much more open-minded as a speaker and as an audience member. Especially in a communications class like the one we are in now, it can serve as a huge benefit to us in the future. The more speeches and presentations we do, the much more comfortable we will get with them. Not only that, but also we will learn more things about ourselves and what makes us comfortable when delivering a speech. It is also important to recognize that although you have overcome your fear of public speaking, your peers might have not, so we must be respectful to others. In an article named Overcoming Speech Anxiety in Meetings and Presentations by Lenny Laskowski, he mentions that if the fear of public speaking causes you to prepare more, then the fear of public speaking serves as its own best antidote. So speech anxiety is actually a good thing if you look at it in a positive way, because it results in you preparing more, and that's never a bad thing. Now that we have acknowledged the outcome of overcoming speech anxiety, I will wrap this up. Learning more about public speaking and understanding why people fear it so much is the key to overcoming such fear. First, I defined what speech anxiety is, then I gave tips and methods on how to overcome it, and finally, I gave you the outcomes of conquering fear. Never think that the audience member doesn't have a care in what you have to say. You deserve to be heard, and your voice is one of the most powerful tools you have to get your point across.